Taking a look at a brute force with your 750 brute force fuel injected with your more common than not weak fuel pump issues. And as most of you know, this it wreaks havoc when you're trying to troubleshoot what the heck's going on with it. A lot of people, we start working with the solenoids, and of course there's the corroded contacts based on not having enough dielectric grease or any at all in your system. And yeah, that's the first place you want to check. But after that, once you figure out your fuel relay is working, and then you do the check on your fuel pump and make sure it's pushing the right flow rate, as well as if you get a chance and you have the let's call it tools at least to check the pressure on it. You get all that set up and confirm you got the right pressure or not. Most likely you will have no pressure, or maybe enough will build up if you let it sit for a while, but then it just won't have the flow rate most commonly. And yeah, the first step is to clean that screen down there, but usually your fuel pump's going to be toast, and it's just the way it goes, especially if you're riding in the mud a lot and getting it through this infamous piece of crap right here. Yeah, that. Alright, so when you end up having to deal with your fuel pump, you got one option, but paying $400+ for the whole assembly. Thanks, Kawasaki, you're awesome. Or you do here what someone recommended, and that's take and put on one of these, just a generic fuel pump. This one here is rated to 40+ PSI up to 65. And what I did is, disassemble the pump. And sorry I didn't get a picture of it before, but down in here, you get a threaded barb, and that's a 3/8 inch barb outlet coming down with some fuel line going into your pump. And then what I did here with the pump is, instead of bending this or putting in a 90 degree here of some sort, whether it be brass or plastic, I just routed out 270 degrees back into the pump. So that's your option there. Obviously, sitting in the tank, well, maybe not so obviously until this, there's your outlet going towards the front. Down here, fuel float for fuel level, and I put the pump float pointing towards the front, only because there's not so much room working out the back, and because of this right here. What I did is I put a 90 degree L bracket, clamped it around the pump right here, and then this pump conveniently came with this nice rubberized damper or pump surround that sits on the bottom of the tank, and that way it won't rub a hole in the bottom of the tank after, let's say, a few years, where if that clamp was sitting down there, that'd probably cause some issues after a while. Alright, so this 90 degree bracket, used a good old Dremel and cut the slit in the bottom of this section. So there's a slit right there. There's the front of the pump looking down, this piece right here, and there's the slit that I dremeled. Now another important thing to note is, no longer is there the fuel reservoir that keeps it from flaming out basically when you're on your steep hills. So yeah, I've lost that backup, and I'm just gonna keep that in mind when I'm riding. And if you do the same thing, keep that in mind yourselves. But simple 90 degree. This thing is just a piece of scrap I had laying around, and those notches there conveniently help out when putting the whole assembly back in the tank, because it catches and latches while I'm dropping it in. Now you notice the benefit of having it set up like this and not hard fastened is that it allows it to set on the bottom of the tank. So as I'm placing it in, you get this whole expanse right here, and that definitely won't fit down through your fuel hole, right? So we go over here, and we got this issue right here. There's really no way to stab this thing in there with these issues, right? So what this allows me to do is I take the two pieces apart, Yeah, the one-handed trick. Alright, maybe this will go on the bloopers reel. All hail. So, separate it.
In my opinion, it's the best book in the area. To advertise in your community phone book, call 1-877-843-7331. That's 877-3-1. The Rockin' Rooster on Highway 22 between Coxville and Paris.
As such, and then I stick the pump assembly down in the tank first, and then drop in. So after the pump assembly goes in, wedge that bad boy in there. Then I can stick the rest of the module in as normal, putting the float in first, and then once it's down in the tank, go ahead and stick that piece of metal back up through the slot. So that's one perk to that, not having it solid fastened. Now here's the next one. See if it goes on as pain as the ass came off. Alright, here we go. So the other good thing is that once it gets on, you get the ability to set this on the bottom of the tank, because as you're pushing down on it, you mount it and it rests on the bottom of the tank, and it has the ability to fall as far as it needs to and then screw it into the top of the tank. So again, simple 90, Dremel it out, 270 degrees worth of tubing, clamp it up, make sure you get the right PSI in your pump, generic fuel filter on there, and then the toughest part was, well, not toughest, but the most delicate part is when you do put that barb in into the filter cartridge up here. Be extremely careful when you're drilling that out if you're going to use that size barb, because the filter screen in there is very, very close to where the threads for the barb are going to go. So if you end up drilling in too far, you're going to tear up that screen really quick. So you got two options: use a bigger barb on the threaded part that screws into the filter cartridge, and do not drill it, and you'll have about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch of thread, or you can drill out like I did and use a smaller male thread up into closer to the cartridge, and I had about 3/8 to a little more worth of plastic to screw into. So that's the deal. That's what I got going on, and sorry about the shaky camera, but hope you enjoyed. Later.